J. Park stood motionless on the observation deck of Mars Colony Alpha, his fingers tracing the smooth wooden surface of an ancient boomerang. The metallic floor beneath his feet hummed with the subtle vibrations of the colony's life support systems. Outside the thick, reinforced windows, the rust-colored Martian landscape stretched endlessly, a testament to human determination and technological prowess. The colony was a marvel of engineering, home to 3,000 settlers who had left Earth in search of a new beginning. Jay was different from most colonists, a corporate lawyer with an unusual hobby of collecting traditional weapons from various cultures. This boomerang, purchased during a recent trade expedition, represented more than just a simple throwing weapon to him. He remembered the vendor's words clearly. An old Australian trader with weathered skin and eyes that seemed to hold centuries of stories had warned him. "This isn't just a tool, young man. It's a piece of living history." Jai had smiled, thinking it was just another sales pitch. The morning light filtered through the observation deck's windows, casting long shadows across the floor. Jay's colleague, Sum Kim, watched from a distance with a mixture of curiosity and mild amusement. They had been friends since their university days, and Sum knew Jay's tendency to get obsessed with peculiar challenges. "Are you really going to try throwing that thing?" Sum called out, his voice carrying a hint of skepticism. Jay nodded, his concentration absolute. He had spent weeks studying boomerang throwing techniques through historical archives and virtual training simulations. Today was going to be his moment of triumph. With a calculated motion, he pulled his arm back and released the boomerang. For a brief, beautiful moment, it seemed perfect. The wooden object cut through the artificial atmosphere of the observation deck, spinning with a precision that made Jay's heart race. But perfection is often a fleeting illusion. The boomerang's trajectory began to wobble. Instead of the graceful arc Jay had practiced countless times in simulations, it started to behave erratically. Sung took a step back, his eyes widening with growing concern. Time seemed to slow down. The boomerang spun wildly, defying every calculation and expectation. Jay realized something was wrong, but by then, it was too late. The wooden weapon was no longer under his control. Asterisk thwack asterisk. The sound was sharp and immediate. Before Jay could react, the boomerang struck him directly on the forehead with stunning precision. The impact was so sudden and unexpected that he didn't even have time to raise his hands in defense. He fell backward, the metallic floor rushing up to meet him. A sharp pain exploded across his skull, and for a moment, the world became a blur of colors and spinning lights. Blood trickled from the wound, creating a small crimson pattern on the pristine floor of the observation deck. Sung rushed forward, his professional medical training kicking in immediately. "Jai, are you okay?" he shouted, kneeling beside his friend. Jay blinked, trying to focus. The pain was intense, but something else was brewing in his mind. Not just pain, but an idea. A crazy, impossible idea that would change everything. As medical staff arrived and began their initial assessment, Jay started to smile. The boomerang lay nearby, almost mocking him with its innocent wooden surface. What had seemed like a moment of complete failure was about to become something entirely unexpected. Little did anyone know that this single moment would set in motion a series of events that would challenge the very foundations of interplanetary legal systems. The boomerang wasn't just a weapon. It was about to become a catalyst for something much larger. Sung noticed the strange glint in Jay's eyes. "What are you thinking?" he asked, already sensing that his friend was plotting something extraordinary. Jay's smile grew wider. "I'm going to sue myself," he whispered. And with those words, a truly unique adventure was about to begin. The medical bay hummed with quiet efficiency as Jay Park sat on the examination table, a cold compress pressed against his swollen forehead. Around him, the colony's medical staff exchanged confused glances. Most injury reports involved mining accidents or low-gravity training mishaps, but a self-inflicted boomerang wound was something entirely new. Dr. Yoon, the chief medical officer, completed her report, with a mixture of professional concern and barely contained amusement. "You do realize this is the most unusual injury I've documented in 5 years of Martian medical practice," she said, her tablet displaying the detailed medical scan. Jay's mind was already racing. As a corporate lawyer specializing in interplanetary litigation, he saw something most would have missed: an opportunity. The Boomerang incident wasn't just an accident, it was a legal challenge waiting to be explored. He began drafting documents in secret, using the colony's advanced legal software. On one screen, he prepared the plaintiff's case, a detailed account of personal negligence. On another, he constructed the defendant's defense, equally meticulous and precise. Sung Kim watched with growing bewilderment. "You can't be serious about suing yourself," he said, leaning against the medical bay's polished wall. "This is completely insane." But Jay was beyond reason. He had discovered a fascinating legal loophole in the Mars colony's intricate legal framework. Interplanetary law was still evolving, and no one had ever attempted a self-lawsuit before. The colony's administrative team first thought it was a joke. Director Park, a stern bureaucrat with decades of experience, called Jay to her office. Her office overlooked the massive biodome that sustained the entire colony, a testament to human engineering and determination. "Explain yourself," she demanded, her fingers drumming impatiently on her desk. Jay presented his case with the same precision he used in corporate negotiations. He outlined the incident, documented the injury, and explained the potential legal implications. His argument was simple yet profound: personal accountability taken to its most extreme conclusion. Word spread quickly through the colony's communication networks. What started as a private medical incident was becoming a potential landmark legal case. Researchers, lawyers, and curious colonists began discussing the unprecedented lawsuit. The legal software struggled to process the dual filing. Jay had effectively become both plaintiff and defendant, a legal paradox that challenged existing judicial algorithms. Each document was meticulously prepared, with evidence, witness statements, and detailed arguments. Sung helped gather additional documentation. Medical records, security camera footage from the observation deck, and expert testimonies about Boomerang dynamics were compiled. What had seemed like a bizarre accident was transforming into a carefully constructed legal experiment. Colony Communications began receiving requests from Earth-based media outlets. Legal scholars wanted interviews. Researchers saw an opportunity to explore the boundaries of personal liability and interplanetary law. Jay worked tirelessly, fueled by a combination of determination and an almost scientific curiosity. He wasn't just preparing a lawsuit. He was creating a legal precedent that could reshape how humans understood personal responsibility. The Boomerang sat in an evidence bag, a silent witness to this extraordinary legal journey. What had once been a simple throwing weapon was now a key piece of evidence in what might become the most unusual court case in human history. Director Park called an emergency meeting of the colony's legal council. The implications of Jay's lawsuit could potentially rewrite sections of interplanetary legal code. What seemed like a joke was quickly becoming a serious legal exploration. As the days passed, Jay's injury healed, but his determination grew stronger. He had transformed a moment of personal embarrassment into an opportunity for legal innovation. The Mars colony watched and waited, uncertain whether they were witnessing a genius or a madman. Sung could only shake his head and smile. "Only you could turn a Boomerang accident into a potential legal revolution," he told Jay. And so, the preparation continued. A lawsuit unlike any in human history was taking shape, one carefully drafted document at a time. The courtroom of Mars Colony Alpha had never seen anything quite like this before. Rows of seats were packed with colonists, researchers, and media representatives, all eager to witness the most unusual legal proceeding in human history. At the center of the room sat Jay Park, simultaneously preparing to argue as both plaintiff and defendant. Judge Yoon Lee, a respected legal expert known for her sharp mind and zero tolerance for nonsense, looked down from the elevated bench. Her digital tablet displayed the case files, each more bizarre than the last. The courtroom's holographic systems hummed softly, ready to project evidence and testimony. "The court will now hear the case of Park versus Park," she announced, her voice cutting through the excited murmurs. Jay stood up, wearing a crisp legal suit that seemed to shimmer under the courtroom's artificial lighting. He approached the witness stand, then paused. A moment of theatrical preparation had caught everyone's attention. As the plaintiff, he began, "I will demonstrate clear evidence of personal negligence." Immediately, he switched positions, moving to the defendant's table. "And as the defendant, I will contest these claims," he continued, his voice changing slightly to indicate his new role. The first witness was Dr. Yoon, the medical officer who had treated Jay's boomerang injury. She presented medical records showing the precise location and severity of the wound. Her testimony was clinical, professional, yet tinged with a hint of disbelief. The injury was self-inflicted through a combination of improper technique and overconfidence, she stated matter-of-factly. Sung Kim was called next. As Jade's closest friend and colleague, he provided crucial context. He described Jay's obsession with the boomerang, the weeks of preparation, and the moment of the incident. His testimony walked a careful line between humor and serious observation. Expert witnesses followed. A boomerang historian from Earth testified about the weapon's cultural significance. A physics professor explained the complex aerodynamics that could have contributed to the unusual trajectory. Each expert added layers of complexity to what seemed like a simple accident. The colony's security footage was projected holographically, showing the moment of impact in slow motion. Gasps and nervous laughter rippled through the audience as they watched the boomerang's perfect, destructive arc. Jay's cross-examination was masterful. As the plaintiff, he highlighted his own incompetence. As the defendant, he mounted a vigorous defense. The courtroom became a stage for his legal performance, blurring the lines between comedy and serious legal argument. The plaintiff clearly demonstrates a complete lack of understanding of basic throwing mechanics, Jay argued from the plaintiff's side. Immediately switching positions, he responded, "Objection. The plaintiff's claims are speculative and lack substantive evidence." Judge Lee watched with a mixture of professional skepticism and barely contained amusement. She had presided over countless complex cases, but nothing quite like this. The media representatives furiously recorded every moment. News feeds across Mars and Earth were broadcasting the trial live. What had started as a curious incident was becoming a global spectacle of legal creativity. As the day progressed, the lines between serious legal proceeding and performance art became increasingly blurred. Jai presented expert testimony, challenged his own arguments, and maintained a level of legal precision that impressed even his harshest critics. Sung sat in the audience, alternating between pride and embarrassment. He knew Jai was capable of extraordinary things, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. The colony's legal scholars took notes furiously. This was more than a trial. It was a potential landmark case that could redefine personal liability in interplanetary law. As the day drew to a close, Judge Lee looked tired but intrigued. The complexity of the case was unlike anything she had encountered in her long legal career. "We will reconvene tomorrow," she announced, her voice cutting through the courtroom's excited atmosphere. Joe packed his legal documents, a small smile playing on his lips. He had turned a moment of personal embarrassment into something extraordinary, a legal performance that would be remembered for years to come. The boomerang sat in an evidence bag, a silent witness to this unprecedented legal drama. The trial's aftermath spread through the Mars colony like a digital wildfire. What had begun as a bizarre personal lawsuit was transforming into something far more significant. Jai Park had accidentally uncovered a complex legal loophole that challenged fundamental principles of interplanetary liability. Research teams from Earth and Mars began analyzing every minute detail of the case. The boomerang incident, once considered a simple accident, was now being studied as a potential breakthrough in legal theory. Universities requested complete trial transcripts. Legal departments across human colonies wanted to understand how one man could sue himself and potentially reshape judicial understanding. Director Park, initially skeptical, now saw the broader implications. The colony's legal framework had always been rigid, designed to manage complex interactions between humans, artificial intelligence, and emerging technologies. Jay's lawsuit exposed unexpected flexibility in these systems. Sung Kim found himself unexpectedly thrust into the spotlight. As Jay's closest colleague and primary witness, he was bombarded with interview requests. Media outlets from Earth wanted to understand the man behind this extraordinary legal adventure. "It's just Jay being Jay," some would say, laughing. But everyone knew this was something more profound. The unexpected breakthrough came from an analysis of the Boomerang's trajectory. The physics team discovered that the weapon's unusual flight path revealed critical insights into quantum motion principles. What seemed like a random accident was actually demonstrating complex physical behaviors never fully documented before. Joe continued preparing his arguments, working late into the Martian nights. The colony's communication systems buzzed with speculation. Legal scholars, physicists, and researchers from multiple disciplines were connecting dots that had previously remained invisible. Judge Yoon Lee recognized something extraordinary was happening. During a private consultation with Jay, she admitted the case was challenging everything she understood about legal proceedings. "You've created something entirely new," she told him, her professional demeanor slightly softened by genuine admiration. The financial implications were equally fascinating. Insurance companies began reviewing their interplanetary liability policies. If an individual could successfully sue themselves, what did that mean for traditional risk assessment? The economic ripple effects could be massive. Universities started developing new courses exploring the legal and philosophical implications of Jay's lawsuit. Personal accountability in interplanetary contexts became an overnight academic sensation. Students and researchers worldwide began discussing the profound questions raised by this single incident. Jay's foundation, tentatively named the Personal Accountability Research Institute, began receiving funding from unexpected sources. Technology companies, legal firms, and research institutions all wanted to understand the deeper principles behind his unique approach. The boomerang itself became an unexpected symbol. Museums requested to display it as a historical artifact, representing a pivotal moment in human legal evolution. What had once been a simple throwing weapon was now a catalyst for global discussion. Colony administrators watched with a mixture of pride and confusion. Mars had always been a place of innovation, but this exceeded their wildest expectations. Jai had transformed a personal embarrassment into a potential revolution in understanding human responsibility. Sun observed his friend with a sense of wonder. They had known each other for years, but this felt like a moment of true transformation. Jai wasn't just a lawyer anymore. He had become something more. Global media coverage continued to expand. Talk shows, academic conferences, and scientific symposiums all wanted to explore the implications of the Boomerang lawsuit. Jay found himself at the center of a global conversation about accountability, technology, and human potential. The Mars colony watched and waited. They knew something significant was happening, something that could potentially rewrite understanding of legal and personal responsibility across human settlements. As the investigation continued, more questions emerged than answers. But that was precisely the point. Jay had created a legal thought experiment that challenged existing frameworks, forcing people to reconsider fundamental assumptions about personal action and consequence. The unexpected journey of a single boomerang had become a global phenomenon, proving once again that human creativity knows no boundaries. The final day of the trial arrived with unprecedented anticipation. Mars Colony Alpha's central courtroom was packed beyond capacity, with additional viewers connecting through global digital networks. Jai Park stood at the center of a legal storm that had captured the imagination of humans across multiple planetary settlements. Judge Yoon Lee entered the courtroom, her digital tablet displaying months of complex legal arguments and research. The boomerang, now a symbol of legal innovation, sat carefully preserved in an evidence display case. After careful consideration, Judge Lee began, her voice steady and clear. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff, which is also the defendant. The courtroom erupted in a mix of confused applause and stunned silence. Jai had effectively won a lawsuit against himself, creating a legal precedent that would be discussed for generations. The settlement was unusual. Jai was ordered to establish a research foundation dedicated to exploring personal accountability and technological innovation. His own assets would fund an institute that would transform how humans understood responsibility in an increasingly complex technological world. Sung Kim watched from the front row, a proud smile spreading across his face. What had started as a bizarre incident had become something truly remarkable. The Boomerang lawsuit would be remembered as a turning point in human legal history. The foundation's initial funding was substantial, approximately 5 million Mars colony credits. Research teams from across human settlements began applying for grants, eager to explore the philosophical and practical implications of Jai's groundbreaking case. Media coverage exploded. News networks from Earth to the Mars colonies ran extensive documentaries and analysis pieces. Jai found himself at the center of a global conversation about personal accountability, technological innovation, and human potential. Universities began developing new academic programs inspired by the case. Personal accountability in technological contexts became a popular course of study. Students worldwide studied the intricate legal and philosophical arguments that had emerged from the Boomerang incident. During the Foundation's first conference, Jai reflected on the journey. Sometimes, he told a room full of researchers and legal experts, our greatest discoveries come from our most unexpected moments. The Boomerang itself became a museum piece. The Mars Colony Historical Museum created a special exhibit documenting the entire legal journey. Visitors could see the actual weapon, watch holographic recreations of the trial, and understand how a single moment of personal misadventure had changed everything. Insurance companies began redesigning their policies. Technology firms started exploring new models of personal and corporate responsibility. What had seemed like a strange legal experiment was now driving real-world innovation. Sung helped Jai manage the new foundation. Their friendship, tested through this extraordinary journey, had become stronger. They worked together to channel the research funding into meaningful projects that explored the boundaries of human potential. The Mars Colony Administration, initially skeptical, now celebrated Jai as an unexpected hero. Director Park personally congratulated him, acknowledging how a single lawsuit had put their colony at the forefront of legal and technological innovation. Global recognition followed. Jai received multiple awards, including the prestigious Interplanetary Innovation Prize. But he remained humble, always pointing back to the simple boomerang that had started everything. The Foundation's first major research project explored accountability in artificial intelligence and human technology interactions. Universities and research centers from across human settlements submitted proposals, eager to be part of this new approach to understanding responsibility. During a final press conference, Jai held up the boomerang, now a symbol of unexpected discovery. Sometimes, he said, our greatest mistakes can become our most important lessons. The Mars colony had witnessed something extraordinary. A simple throwing weapon, a moment of personal embarrassment, had become a catalyst for global change. Jai Park had transformed a personal accident into a profound exploration of human potential. As the sun set over the Mars colony's massive biodome, casting long shadows across the settlement, everyone knew something significant had happened. The Boomerang lawsuit was more than a legal case. It was a testament to human creativity, resilience, and the unexpected ways we learn and grow. Sung looked at his friend and smiled. Their adventure was just beginning.